It is the final day of the regular season here in 2016 as the 102-win Chicago Cubs, the NL Central champs, take on the Cincinnati Reds here in Cincinnati. Welcome to Cubs baseball for the final time on WGN here in 2016. Jim Deshaies, Len Casper. Can't say this game is meaningless because Kyle Hendricks is pitching.
Yeah, Kyle Hendricks has a 1.99 ERA. The plan for today, 5 innings or so. If he allows one or none, he'll finish with that sub-2 ERA. 136, excuse me, since the All-Star break. He's been brilliant at home at 25.7% soft contact against. That's a little bit of a deep stat, but it leads the National League, and it's all about movement and upsetting hitters' timing.
It's going to be quite a race for the Cy Young. We put 5 guys on this list. Noah Syndergaard certainly will get votes as well, but you've got 2 Cubs very much in the hunt.
Yeah, a little bump in the road for John Lester yesterday, but he's been brilliant for an extended period of time, as has Hendricks. If he finishes with that sub-2, he's going to get a lot of votes. The national writers I look at, a lot of them favor Scherzer because of the innings and the strikeouts. All these guys deserving. It should be fun to finally tally the votes and see who wins this award.
Robert Stevenson will get the start, a right-hander for the Reds today, and still more to play for Chris Bryant as well. Behind Kyle Hendricks today, the Cubs will have basically their regular lineup in there. We'll have the Cubs and the Reds coming up. Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Honda. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer. State Farm. There for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Getting you set for Cubs baseball here on the banks of the Ohio River. Chris Bryant in the lineup today as he'll try to hit his 40th home run of the season. 10 of his 39 have come against the Reds. And as you look at the MVP contenders, and Joey Votto might get some consideration because of his big second half, but it looks pretty good for Chris Bryant atop that MVP board. we will have the Cubs and the Reds here on WGN. It's the final game of the regular season as the Cubs tune up for the playoffs. Stay with us. High Definition is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And David Ross bringing out the lineup card in his final regular season game. He caught John Lester and company last night. And the Cubs are headed to the playoffs, but still an emotional day for a guy like David, who's been at this level for a decade and a half. David Ortiz, his final regular season game. The Red Sox will retire his number 34 next year. Mark Teixeira will retire as a New York Yankee. And we had a shot of the umpires there. I guess Bob Davidson is going to hang it up after 2016 as well. Let's get the Cubs Southwest lineup that will face right-hander Robert Stevenson. Dexter Fowler got his 1,000th career hit in the game last night. Chris Bryant, two back of the leaders in the home run race in the National League. Arenado and Carter with 41 going into play today. Rizzo, Zobrist, who's had a big weekend. Russell, the shortstop. Hayward knocked in two with a double last night. Jorge Soler back in the lineup for the first time in over a week. Contreras, the catcher, and Hendricks, the pitcher.
The Reds defensively set up this way today. Duvall, Shebler, Renda, left center, right infield of Suarez, Peraza, De Jesus Jr., and Joey Votto. Tucker Barnhart will do the catching, and Robert Stevenson, the rookie right-hander, is on the mound for Cincinnati. Stevenson, 23 years of age. He's 2-3, has a 6.27 ERA. He's made just 7 starts. Former #1 pick. He was their first-round pick in 2011, number 27 overall that year.
It's had kind of a strange start to his career. A couple of outings in April, and they were both wins. And then came back as a September call-up and has gone 0-3 in 5 starts with an ERA of over 8.
And maybe he got mixed messages. He won 2 games, he got sent. I said, well, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what their thinking is there, but Hey. Well, he's got a good arm. He's got a bright future. Just trying to figure it out here at the big league level.
Let's check out the umpires for the final regular season game. Chad Whitson is back to the plate. It's Dan Bellino, Gabe Morales, and the crew chief Tom Hallion on the bases. Nice day. Weather has definitely cooperated this weekend here in Cincinnati, after the Cubs played to a rain-shortened tie on Thursday in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and the forecast coming into this weekend was a little dicey. It looked like there might be some bad weather, but has not been an issue. Overall, I think it's been very mild here in the month of September. We've had a lot of baseball weather. Usually this time of the year, you're seeing people in the stands all bundled up, but they're in short sleeves here today for this season finale for the Cincinnati Ball Club.
Fowler 2 hits, including his 1,000th in the game last night. He reached base 3 times in all, and he will start it. And he takes a strike.
Stuff is good for Stevenson. That fastball clocked at 96, although it might be a little bit of a hot gun in this ballpark. They'll sit typically around 93. Curveball and a changeup.
Fouled off, and it's 0-2, 71 degrees as we get started. And pretty much everything else around baseball today starting right about now as well.
It's like a shotgun start in a golf tournament.
Right.
Everybody, all around baseball, every game starting as we speak. Look at that. Top of the first everywhere. Hey, what's going on in St. Louis?
Starting a little late. And he's low and off the plate on a changeup.
Kind of a fun subplot in that game. Ryan Vogelsong is pitching for Pittsburgh. And if they beat the Cardinals, Giants are in. And of course, Vogelsong, a former Giant.
There's a base hit. Fowler reaches. So he will finish the regular season by doing what he does best, and that is get on base to start a game.
Career hit number 1001 for Dexter, and he doesn't often do this, punching the ball through the infield on the opposite side. Don't see that much from Fowler.
Came in with a .479 on base average to lead off a game. Nice hand for Chris Bryant. Yeah, Chris Carter has caught Nolan Arenado. They both have 41 home runs. Bryant with 39. Going into the final day, went over 100 RBIs earlier on this trip. And the pitch, it's a strike.
Chris just a 3 out of 16 on this road trip. You know, he'd love to get that 40th home run. That's a nice round number.
Outside on a fastball.
And the long ball has plagued Stevenson. It has plagued just about everybody on this Reds pitching staff. They set a record for home runs allowed this year. He has given up 9 in just 33 innings of work. Back.
Well, they say hitting is contagious. I don't really believe in that. Is giving up home runs contagious? Why this year did it all kind of come together in the wrong way for this Red staff?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a combination of the style of pitchers, perhaps. The nature of this ballpark, of course. It's all really jumps here. It's a good hitter's park. A lot of inexperienced pitchers on this staff.
And home runs are up.
And home runs
baseball.
are up,
yeah. Brian Price will return next season along with his coaching staff, including former Cubs manager Jim Riggleman, the Reds bench coach. Count holding it 2 apiece.
And the Cubs were the prime culprit in terms of doing all this damage against the Reds. 40 home runs the Cubs have hit against Cincinnati pitching this year.
It's the most the Cubs have ever hit against one opponent in a season. It's the most the Reds have ever allowed to any opponent in a single season. 3-2 on Bryant. Rizzo on deck.
Right-hander Adelman pitched for the Reds yesterday, and he threw Chris a lot of changeups. We'll see what Stevenson does here with this 3-2 offering. And he's got a little more giddy up on his fastball than Adelman.
Here's a pitch. He walked him. Cubs have 2 on with nobody out for Anthony Rizzo. Anthony will be in the mix for the MVP award, for a Silver Slugger at first base, for a Gold Glove at first base, Roberto Clemente Award. All kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, it could be a busy year on the banquet circuit for this group.
Rizzo finished 4th in the MVP race last year. An all-star this season for the 3rd consecutive time. And he's in a favorable count, 2 balls, no strikes. Calm conditions. Wind doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot. And the 2-0 is high.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about all the home runs the Reds have surrendered, and seen a fair bit of them this year. And this is conjecture to a certain degree on my part, but I imagine if you talk to Brian Price and some folks with the Reds, they'd say, with our young guys at times just a little too tentative, and then they get into hitters counts and then they give in. It's going to add up to home runs.
Rizzo swinging 3-0 down the left field line. Duvall in foul territory, and he's got it. And the runners will have to head back to their respective bases.
A nice play by Duvall out there in left field. I thought that ball was going to drift into the stands. Obviously it did not. He didn't quit on the play, and well, he got a big out for his rookie pitcher who's under duress here early on.
On a 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0 with 2 guys on, nobody out.
Ben Zobrist, 3 homers in the series. 3 of the 5 he has hit since the All-Star break have been over the last 2 days.
Just the way he took that pitch with kind of getting his hands, the motor going, and the way he tracked that ball all the way into the catcher's mitt, that reminded me a little bit of Pete Rose. Rose is a player who played for the Reds here for quite some time, and he got a lot of hits. If you're not familiar, you might want to Google him.
A lot of headfirst dives into bases.
They called him Charlie Hustle.
The pitch. 2-1.
Zobrist, over his last 8 ball games, 12 out of 26 with 3 home runs, a .462 batting average. He's had 3 hit games during that stretch. And a whole lot of that, of just disregarding, really good pitchers' pitches. Sinkers down around the knees, or changeup just fading off the plate. a pitch you make as a pitcher, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get a swing here, going to get a ball in play.
So 3-1 on Zobrist. Here it comes. Outside, ball 4. Addison Russell.
Now, he's kind of the anti-Zobrist right now. He's been in a funk last 10 days or so. Not a whole lot going good for him. Does it matter once the playoffs start? I don't think so. I don't think you can conclude anything based on how a guy finishes the regular season heading into the postseason.
Yeah, I think it's kind of he's slumping until he's not.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the game. You run hot and cold. And a lot of things, I guess from a manager or a hitting coach's point of view, it's just how does a guy respond to the highs and lows of the season. If a player is really self-critical and gets down on himself, then it could kind of snowball on him. So you have to be careful. You have to keep an eye on that. And that's what Joe at times this year has pulled Addison out of the lineup for a day or two to give him a rest.
And he bats with the bases loaded and takes a strike. 9 hits with the bases loaded. That's the most in the majors. And as JD mentioned, he has been struggling as of late. 170 over his last 17 games. Bounce to third. Throw goes to second for 1. Relay double play. That will get the rookie Stevenson out of the inning. A 5-4-3 twin killing. Reds coming up. Reds lineup of the season. They went 32-57 before the break. 36-36 though in the second half. Peraza, DeJesus Jr. and Votto at the top. Duvall, Schebler, Suarez in the middle. Barnhart, Renda, and Stevenson at the bottom. And the Reds just honored David Ross on the board. That's why the ovation. And we're checking on the Cubs defense.
And the Cubs set up thusly this afternoon. Hey, Soler's back in there. It's been a while for him. Fowler center, Hayward right. Bryant, Russell, Zobrist, Rizzo on the infield. Wilson with 2 L's. Contreras is the catcher. And our Cubs starter brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois is Kyle Hendricks. Where's David Ross? They were just cheering for him. It was very exciting. There he is, taking a bow. There are a lot of Cub partisans here, but if you think the folks in the red shirts also rising to applaud the former Red.
Miguel Montero wants a little love.
On board. Yeah.
Kyle Hendricks with a 1.99 ERA.
It's been a remarkable year for the young right-hander. He was 2-0 against Cincinnati this year in 2 tries. 3-1 lifetime with a .351.
So two things in terms of that earned run average. He has a chance to lead the major leagues, and he has a chance to finish with an ERA of under 2. John Lester finished at 244. Noah Syndergaard at 260. So Kyle's in pretty good shape in that regard to lead the majors. 2-2 the count. And the pitch. Called strike 3. Peraza is out.
Fairly familiar. Somebody getting locked up by an offering from Kyle Hendricks. If he and Lester do finish 1-2 in the ERA race, it will be the first time since '05 when Roger Clemens and Andy Pettitte did it while they were pitching for the Astros. Ten consecutive starts of allowing 2 runs or less for Kyle.
Ivan DeJesus Jr. 4 for 6, 2 doubles, 3 walks, 3 runs in this series. Cubs won on Friday night 7-3. It was the Reds 7-4 last night.
Last time out in Pittsburgh, 6 innings of shutout ball for Hendricks. Allowed 7 hits, no walks, struck out 5.
The wind and the 1-1. Ground ball toward the hole. Russell's got it, but he can't get his footing. And it's a base hit.
Nice range by Russell. It really wasn't a play to be made with DeJesus going down the line. Heck of a try, though. So Hendricks will hunt for another ground ball from Votto here and see if he can get 2.
Votto, big night last night, and in the set, 4 hits, a home run, 5 knocked in. 4-11 in the second half. And he fouls back for a strike.
Not a big sample size, but he's enjoyed success against Kyle. 6 out of 8 with a couple of home runs.
I mentioned this the other day, and 3 different starting catchers in this series. I think there's a pretty decent chance we will see at least, well, not more than 3, but we'll see all 3, I should say, start in the playoffs. Contreras and Hendricks have worked well together. Lester Ross, Arrieta, Montero. Two and 1. Check on DeJesus. He's back in plenty of time. Cardinals need to win, and they need the Giants to lose. And the Giants have an early 2-0 lead in Vin Scully's final broadcast. So we will keep you up to date. Left center, Soler is in, and he's got it. 2 down.
I had that note on Kyle about the highest soft contact rate in the game. And there's another example of it there. The dangerous Votto fooled, and a neat little pop-up.
Face Adam Duvall. 2 outs in. DeJesus still at first. Bust out year for Duvall, an all-star. 33 home runs, 23 which came before the break.
Yep, some notes on the professor. SDRA in the game, 136 since the break, 132 at home, and a soft contact rate nearing 26%. I'm not sure exactly how they determine soft, medium, and hard contact. I'm sure it's exit velocity, balls in play, the exit velocity, but I don't know what the cutoff is, what determines soft contact. I just know when I watch him pitch, he gets a whole lot of it.
Soler will knock it down. Second hit of the inning. And it'll bring up Schebler.
Key there, just make sure you keep it in front.
Schebler dealing with a left hamstring issue. This is his first start since Tuesday. Has pinch hit a couple of times this week. And he's playing center today. Strike one. Hendricks is 26, 6'3", 190. Schebler asks for time.
This is Kyle's fourth career start here in this ballpark. Second time this year. Back on June 29th, he went 6 2/3, allowed 2 runs, picked up the W.
Clipped him, and the bases are loaded for Suarez. So both teams loading the bases in the first inning. Cubs could not score. Reds have them loaded with 2 outs.
He was trying to throw a 2-seam fastball, the one that runs back, and just didn't get on top of it. The ball didn't have that tailing action. Suarez hit his 21st home run of the year yesterday. Shot down the right field line off John Lester, and he had a lot on the line yesterday too. He was trying to get to the 20 win mark.
Ball one on a curve. Looked like it could have been a strike. That one missed badly. 2 balls, no strikes. With a real steady demeanor. Never seems to get too high or too low. Really swing and a miss, 2-1.
Yeah, kind of at the mercy of the count there with the bases loaded. Threw him a challenge fastball, and Suarez loaded up. It came up empty. There's 1 or 2 in a situation like this when you've got a personal goal. If it can affect a pitcher's thinking. Typically you go out and you're just pitching, 1 hitter, 1 pitch at a time. But and we had this conversation during his last start. Would you rather come into the start with a 2-something ERA with a chance to get it below 2, or your mindset is I'm protecting this 1.99, and the ideal situation is I know it's there, but I put it in the back of my head and I go out and pitch like I always do. And likewise with John yesterday, going for that 20th win. But these guys are humans; they're not robots, and you can see where it would come into play a little bit.
3-1. Here it is. He walked him.
A couple pitches in that sequence could have been called strikes, but they're atypical for Hendricks. The curveball up. You don't see that very often. It backed up a little bit on him, and then the elevated fastball there.
So Suarez gets an RBI. It's 1-0, and here comes Chris Bosio before Tucker Barnhart bats.
So in talking with Joe before the game, he had done the math, or somebody had done the math and presented him with the numbers. Kyle went 5 innings and allowed no more than 1 run. He would end up with the sub-2 ERA. So that's what he's up against. He can't give up any more, and the idea is not to pitch him beyond 5. That would be the goal today.
He's at 204 after walking in that run.
Nothing officially has been announced, but in all likelihood, he will pitch Game 2 of the division series.
Yes, nothing has yet to be announced by Joe Madden. He said before the game to reporters he wants to talk to his guys first, but there has been speculation that John Lester would go Game 1, followed by Hendricks and then Arrieta. Barnhart takes strike 1.
Cubs will play a simulated game on Tuesday at Wrigley Field to get Arrieta and Lackey some work. And any of the hitters that want to face live pitching will be able to jump in there.
Missed the outside on a fastball.
Yes, he did.
1-2.
Barnhart, a switch hitter, far better from this side of the plate. A .271 hitter from the left side, bats just .207 as a right-handed hitter.
That will reach the seats off of third.
We could put a little monitor up in the corner of the screen and have it go up and down with every out recorded.
A 27 pitch first inning to this point.
He's usually very good at making in-game adjustments, whether it's with release point or just saying, you know what, this pitch isn't working for me today, so I got to lean a little more heavily on plan B. He and Contreras having a hard time getting on the same page here a little bit this afternoon.
Ground ball, base hit. Reds will get 1. Throw to the plate. Safe. Contreras couldn't get him on the tag. So Duvall in, Schebler as well, and it's 3-0.
With a lot of pitchers, especially finesse pitchers, the thinking is you got to get them early before they get settled in out there. That really hasn't been the case with Kyle. You call him really having too many early game or first inning struggles.
Outside on Tony Renda, the 8th Red to bat here in the first. Three hits, a hit batter, a bases loaded walk. Got the call that time, 1-1.
Renda came to the Reds from the Yankees in the Aroldis Chapman deal in the offseason. He had originally been with the Washington Nationals. This is the third organization he's been with. Former Cal Bear.
I have a hard time remembering another inning this year. There may have been one or two in which Kyle threw this many pitches.
Well, that's the thing about Kyle. He, all year long he has been so consistent. 22 consecutive starts, allowing 3 earned runs or fewer coming into this start. He's not allowed more than 4 runs in a single game. He's only allowed as many as 4 earned runs twice.
Relentless consistency. Three and two, action time with 2 outs. Base runners are Suarez at second. Barnhart, who just knocked in 2, is at first. There they go. Here's the pitch. It's in the air. Fowler in center. And he's got it. And the inning finally comes to an end. But he had to throw 34 pitches, and the Reds get 3. Manage the game along with Joe. Log on to WGNTV.com right now and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and info while watching at home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer.
Can was bigger than that woman's head.
Cubs have some work to do. They're down 3-0. They long ago clinched the season series. They're 14-4 against the Reds. And a first pitch strike from Stevenson to Hayward.
Yeah, Stevenson perhaps guilty of nibbling in that first inning. He got out of it with the double play off the bat of Addison Russell. See if he's more aggressive here in the second. Sometimes it's a matter of being tentative, or sometimes it's just a skill set. Some guys can locate better than others. Not always about approach.
A fly ball well hit to deep left. Duvall back at the warning track, and he can't make the catch. Hayward's got a double. Leadoff double, Jason Hayward.
Duvall perhaps a little tentative in pursuit of this one. Looked like he could have taken another step or two before leaving his feet. Trying to measure his steps as he gets to the track there. And nonetheless, a good swing of the bat by Hayward and a chance for the Cubs to get on the board.
Jorge Soler swings away and sends a towering fly to left. Hayward heads back to tag, but he will not be able to advance. So one out now, the catcher Contreras. Cubs have 2 hits, both of the leadoff variety. Fowler a single in the first, Hayward a double here in the second. High for a ball.
Ferris has been swinging it well lately.
444 over his last 10 games. Way high, 2-0. Stevenson is from Northern California, Martinez, California. Just northeast of Oakland. Committed to the University of Washington before he signed with the Reds. 27th overall in the first round, 2011. 2-1.
It's a very talented draft class. Garrett Cole led the way. He was #1 pick.
Stevenson back in it now, 2-2. The pitch. Foul strike.
Injuries have been a big part of the Red story over the last 3 or 4 years. Continue to be. Devin Mesoraco has had all kinds of problems. Zach Cozart, we haven't seen him here towards the end of the season. That knee issue that plagued him last year reared its ugly head again here towards the end of the season. Homer Bailey's made just a handful of starts this season.
Full count. Still scoreless in St. Louis. Isn't that a Tom Hanks movie?
Mm-hmm.
And the Giants the Dodgers.
They threw that script out.
Yeah, the Reds opened this season with 5 potential starting pitchers on the DL. Giants actually just scored again. It's 4-0 as Stevenson strikes out Contreras.
And they made some adjustments. Iglesias and Lorenzen, both guys who were tried as starters earlier, both have big upsides, good arms. They're both in the bullpen now and may continue to be bullpen guys going forward. Stevenson will compete for a rotation spot next year. Finnegan, they like Brandon Finnegan. He had a pretty nice year.
Hendricks takes a strike. Hayward started the inning with a double, and he's not going to advance to even third. And Stevenson gets out of it. Cubs have left 3 on through 2 and trail 3-0. Don't forget to check out the Cubs blog at WGNTV.com. Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 38 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Hendricks will try to settle down here, facing 9-1-2 for the Reds. The 0-2 to the pitcher. On a bounce, Rizzo will flip to Hendricks.
Don't miss your chance to watch October baseball from the all-inclusive, unique atmosphere of the rooftops across from Wrigley Field. Limited playoff tickets are available now by calling 773-248-ROOF or by visiting WrigleyRooftops.com. A little late season boating going on out there
in the mighty Ohio.
Kentucky's just across the way.
It is indeed. It's pop foul. I've been to Kentucky a few times, but you know, when people say, how many states have you visited? If you've flown into the airport here in the greater Cincinnati area, you actually fly into an airport in Kentucky. Would you consider that, if that's the only time you had spent in Kentucky, would you say I've visited that state?
No.
That doesn't really count,
no.
right?
The airports are like neutral. They're like international waters.
The 1-2 outside. Peraza caught looking in the first, and he taps to Hendricks this time. Now this is more like it.
Yeah.
Easy outs, soft contact. Giants have sprinted out to a 5-0 lead in the second inning against the Dodgers.
I wonder what Vin is saying.
Well, Jason Stark just tweeted a quote from Vin. So it's gray overhead, but for Kenta Maeda, it feels like the sky is falling. He doesn't need Chicken Little to tell him that. 1-0 on DeJesus. And a strike. Brandon Phillips was hot. We have not seen him in this series. He's dealing with a sore left hand. But they have not missed a beat this weekend with DeJesus. And a strike. 1-2. Working the edges here. That's low.
Yeah, a little shadow of the light standard cutting across in front of the mound may or not present a little bit of an issue for the hitter. Speaking of legendary broadcasters, I didn't realize Red Barber started his career here, as did Russ Hodges.
In Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. So Hendricks works a 1-2-3 second. He's trailing, however, 3-0. It's time for the Subway third inning triple play promotion. Text Subway 3 to 97999. Right now, the 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to a Subway restaurant in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do. Take a little trip down the river or up the river. I'm not sure which.
You could jump on the Ohio and cruise on up to Pittsburgh.
Yes, it is one of the 3 rivers. Now, strike called on Fowler.
I think that happened years ago when the Reds and the Pirates played in the National League Championship Series back in the 70s. I believe there was people that were making that trip, or at least somebody did, or somebody said that joking around, and I believed it to be true. One of those 3 previous statements by me is accurate.
Which is okay with you if the latter was the case.
Yeah.
Makes life a little easier sometimes.
Big red machine. The mid-70s with all that firepower. Chock full of Hall of Famers. And the Pirates with the lumber company with all that slugging.
inside.
Mentioned Stevenson, a first-round pick in 2011. He was the 27th pick, but he was the 13th right-handed pitcher taken in that draft. Many of whom have gotten to the big leagues and had success. I mentioned Garrett Cole, who's #1 overall that year. Jose Fernandez was drafted that season, number 14 overall. Taylor Youngman, we've seen him. Archie Bradley, Dylan Bundy, Trevor Bauer, Joe Ross, Sonny Gray. It's a good year if you were shopping for right-handed pitching.
Ball 4. So, a couple of notes here. Ben Zobrist in the first inning took his 700th career walk. And that walk right there is the 650th for the Cubs this season. That ties the club record set back in 1975. See, you thought I was mailing it in today, but no.
That's some deep. That's digging deep, man. For the last day of school? Usually we're watching movies.
Ball 1 to Bryant. How about a home run here? Get to 40. Get the Cubs back in this game. Well, not a homer, but it is a base hit. It'll send Fowler to third. Bryant's going to hold Duvall with a nice play to get it back in quickly. And it's a long single for Chris, but just like in the first inning, the Cubs have 2 on with nobody out.
Yeah, Stevenson has been able to work out of trouble here. A lot of traffic in the first, leadoff double in the second. Cubs have not scored yet, but he's right back into it. First and third, nobody out for Rizzo. Good aggressive turn by Bryant. See, playing the whole game. Last day of the season, meaningless game, still going to play it the right way. Turn hard, take a look.
Cub fans making some noise as Rizzo stands in. Reds will play a double play depth in the middle with runners at the corners and a strike call. The pitch. It's low. Let's check out our Lexus Run Predictor. It is brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. This is a 92% play for the Cubs to at least get 1 in this third inning based on what they've done this season.
And you got to believe with 3, 4, 5 hitting here, it's be greater than that. Choke and poke.
As a Cub, Rizzo's home run totals 15 in 2012, 23, 32, 31, and now 32 this season. Career high with 108 RBIs, 170 hits, 43 doubles. Bounce toward right. DeJesus will only have 1 play. That's first. Cubs get on the board. Rizzo notches his 109th RBI. It's 3-1.
So again, the value of putting the ball in play. Gets one home, gets the second man into scoring position.
Bryant at second, and it's Zobrist, whose walk in the first was not only the 700th of his career, but the 96th this season. His career high 97. 2012 with Tampa Bay. Among players with 15 or more home runs, Zobrist is the only one who has more walks than strikeouts. 96 walks, 80 strikeouts. Cardinals have the lead, but they need the Dodgers to come back in that game in San Francisco, or they're out.
Yeah, and he's one of just two qualified big leaguers who have walked more than they have struck out. He and Joe Panik, yeah. For much of the others, 4 or 5 guys on that list, Carlos Santana has struck out exactly as much as he has walked. And Posey and Ortiz are close, but not quite.
Two on Zobrist.
We should give an award every year to the guy who leads the league in that category. Walks more than he strikes out. We'll call it the Joel Sewell Award. Joel Sewell's last year in the big leagues, 606 plate appearances. He struck out 4 times.
Wow. How many times did he walk? Zobrist strikes out.
71. Joe didn't hit for power. He did hit in 1932 with the Yankees. He had 11 home runs, and that year he struck out only 3 times. Walked 56.
So 2 outs. It's Russell. He hit into an inning-ending double play in the first. Fouled on a play. Joe Madden pretty adamant with reporters about not changing the routine. Probably optional batting practice on Friday before game 1 of the division series. Doesn't want his guys getting to the ballpark any earlier than they normally would. Just do what you've been doing. That's the vibe. 0-2. And I think the other part of it too, JD, is don't try to do more than you're capable of just because the games have more riding on them.
Right.
That's when mistakes can occur.
You don't want to change the dynamic. You don't want to do anything that's going to mess up, the routine. This team's won 102 ball games, so why would you try to trick things up when you get into the postseason? Create this level of intensity. I mean, it's going to be there anyway, right? You get into the postseason, there's going to be a lot more attention. Obviously, there's much more meaning for the game. So if anything, you're trying to make sure that you keep the same routine, that you back off a little bit.
Right. So everything around you changes. You don't want to change with those external factors as well. Swing and a miss. Barnhart will get it to Votto, and that will end the Cubs half of the third, but they do get a run. It's 3-1. Bud fan cam of the season. Hashtag Bud Fridays on Twitter if you'd like to tweet us your Cubs selfies to be used a little later on. Joey Votto takes a strike from Kyle Hendricks. Bottom of the third. 3-1 Reds. Votto's sitting on 29 homers, 3 RBIs shy of 100.
If he were to hit a home run, he would become just the 4th Red player ever to produce a .325 batting average in a 30 home run season. Kevin Mitchell, 1994. Frank Robinson in 62. Ted Kluszewski back in 54.
Pitch. Fowler leaves his feet and gets Votto.
Plan your spring travel to Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona with Cubs destinations. Spring training packages include game tickets, hotel accommodations, rental car, Cubs swag, and a private meet and greet with Cub players. Details available soon at Cubs.com/travel.
Duvall with a single and a run in the 3-run first. Pretty much ruined Kyle Hendricks' chance for a sub-2 ERA season. He's at 2.11 currently. But again, Kyle likely to lead the majors in earned run average. As such, he would be the first Cub to do that, lead all major league pitchers in ERA since Hank Borowy in 1945. He had a 2.14.
And no knock on Hank, but that was during the war years. The talent was down.
On strike 3.
And Hank was he was traded over to the Cubs that year. The Yankees, I believe. Another fellow on that club, Ray Prim, posted a very low ERA as well. But again, the war years, the mid-40s, hundreds of major league players were off serving their country.
Schebler with 2 gone. You had to pick an area of the club that was the most important. It's not easy because every area has been above average, but it's got to be the starting rotation, right? Leading the majors in wins, a 2.94 collective ERA, lowest opponent batting average, and OPS. Zobrist gets Schebler 4-3. Ted Kluszewski 3-1. Your team pride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC. Jason Hayward with a leadoff double in the second. To the opposite field. Takes a strike as we kick off the fourth. Braves are closing Turner Field today.
I know they're bringing back a lot of their star players this weekend. Honor them on the field.
We barely got to know you, Turner. Park opened in 1997. SunTrust Park will be the new home of the Braves in the suburbs of Atlanta.
Apparently there's going to be a big shopping area out by the ballpark. Mall of some sort.
Ball 4. So the Cubs setting a new single season walk record with that leadoff free pass. And Stevenson flirting with danger. The leadoff man has reached in all 4 innings for the Cubs.
Yeah, and in normal circumstances, somebody in the Cub dugout would be screaming something along the lines of, "He doesn't want to win this game. Let's get him. He's giving it to us. Got a lead. Doesn't know how to pitch with it." I would imagine there's not that level of intensity in the Cubs dugout these days. Look out!
That one almost landed in our booth.
And then almost landed on somebody's head down below. It's still loose. That was exciting.
Speaking of the Braves, they interviewed their interim manager Brian Snitker and 3 coaches for the full-time job. Terry Pendleton, Eddie Perez, and Bo Porter, and they're going to look to interview some outside candidates following today's final games.
I still have my money on Bud Black.
Yeah, he'll get back in, I would think, soon as a big league manager.
Braves have played pretty well in the second half. They've scored a lot of runs. Freddie Freeman's been as hot as anybody. Matt Kemp doing a lot of damage.
There are reports out of Chicago that Robin Ventura will not return. I guess they have a news conference scheduled for tomorrow. And that former Cubs manager Ricky Renteria will take over. He's Robin's bench coach.
Yeah, if they were trying to keep that secret, they didn't do a very good job. It's like Watergate. It's out there. Everybody seems to know.
Soler drives one deep to left, and he pulled it foul. Out.
Yeah,
that was a shot.
Yeah, he busted that one.
Remember the run he had of reaching base in the postseason last year. A healthy Jorge Soler. And a nice boost for this team heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
shot.
The 3-1 swing pretty much coaxed Stevenson out of the strike zone with the 3-2 pitch.
Contreras digs in.
It's his 5th walk here this afternoon.
And a strike.
It's usually hard to walk guys the final day of the season.
Yeah, they tend to get into swing mode.
And well, and you got to, if you had a veteran home plate umpire back there, they tend to have a big zone. Hasn't been the case with Whitson. Playing a game here in the late 80s, Doug Harvey, aka God, was working the plate, and we had a rookie by the name of Randy Hennis pitching. And after he made his final warm-up toss in the bottom of the first, it was here in Cincinnati, Harvey walked out to the mound, kind of flipped him the ball and said, "Work with me, kid. We'll get through this together." First pitch was about 8 inches outside. Strike one. And Randy ended up pitching a 2-hit shutout.
Those were the days.
Yeah, and it was, you know, obviously if either team had something on the line, that wouldn't be the case. But with two teams, you know, whose fate was already determined, everybody was on board. Hitters knew it was going to be the case. They were up there swinging.
Hey, Martin Prado is playing third and managing the Marlins today. Hooked into left. Hayward around third. Here comes the throw by Duvall. It's cut off. It's 3-2. Cubs within a run. Still nobody out.
Stevenson, for the most part, has been getting away with these walks, but sooner or later you're going to pay. And Contreras drives one home. Walk, knock. Leads to a run. Great turn to third by Hayward. The throw was strong, but offline a little bit, and that's why it was cut.
And it will be Mac Jenkins. The pitching coach to head out. Jumbo Diaz is getting loose.
This was as exciting a moment as we've seen
Hall of
here in a long
Famers.
time.
4 Hall of Famers.
Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Lonnie Cox. 4 Hall of Famers and 1 final first pitch from each of them.
Very cool.
Then you notice Eddie Perez was catching Maddux.
Perfect. One strike on a pitcher. Cubs have first and second, nobody out. Popped up. Infield fly rule in effect if it's fair, and it is. And Suarez makes the grab. Fowler the batter. Tying run is at second. That's Soler. We're all right rain-wise, right? There's some dark clouds gathering overhead.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're okay. Nothing like the clouds that are gathering over Kenta Maeda's head out there in San Francisco.
Swing and a miss. 0-2 on Fowler. The pitch. outside. Orioles lead 3-1 in New York, 6th inning. They win. They're in. Blue Jays scoreless with the Red Sox in the 4th. The Tigers need one of those teams to lose, and they need to win. They're trailing 1-0 in Atlanta in the 5th. Division winners already determined. It's all about the wild card races today and some seeding.
Rangers have home field advantage throughout, including the World Series.
Here's a 1-2 from Stevenson, cued off the end of the bat. And the play made by Peraza to get Fowler. Both runners advance, second and third, 2 gone, and here's Bryant.
Good pick on that short hop by Votto. Boston and Cleveland with identical, well, not identical records, because Cleveland may have to play a makeup game on Monday. There's the pick by Joey Votto. So home field advantage in that series still up for grabs.
Yeah, if the Indians hold on to their 2-1 lead at Kansas City, as Bryant takes off the plate inside, they would be 94-67. And if the Red Sox win, it would be 94-68. The 1-0 is a strike. Disappointing year for the Astros. They will finish over 500 after making the postseason last year. They fell short this season. Swing and a miss. Astros are 84-77 going into their final game today, and the Mariners eliminated last night. So that's 15 consecutive playoff-less seasons.
Well, the Royals, the defending World Series champions, not in the postseason. And I believe it's the last time the World Series champion has made it back to the postseason was the 2011-2012 Cardinals.
Sounds right. Yeah, it was La Russa's final year when they won it, and they've been to the playoffs every year to start Mike Matheny's career. That is very much in jeopardy today. 2-2 to Bryant, and he held. Soler at third, Contreras at second. All kinds of traffic today.
This kid is working really hard. 87 pitches. We're in the 4th inning.
Swing and a miss, so he gets out of this jam, allowing just 1 run. And the Cubs have left 6 on base through 4. It's our Mazda replay cam. Now Hendricks in the first inning just couldn't get settled in. Gave up 3 runs. One was on a bases loaded walk, and then Barnhart a 2-run single. Cubs, though, on the comeback trail, have put up 2 over the last couple of innings. 3-2 fourth inning. And a strike to Suarez. I know you haven't crunched all the numbers, and the season isn't officially over just yet. But do you have a favorite for the Cy Young?
Oh man,
and a lot of conversations with the beat writers and some people around the clubhouse, and Bruce Miles of the Daily Herald. He's got a vote, and he's grinding.
Yeah, it's really hard. You know, because you can make a case for any number of these guys. Hendricks will be the ERA leader. Lester's had an unbelievable run. Dominant starts up until yesterday. Second best ERA, 19 wins. Scherzer's got innings and strikeouts on his side. I mean, I'm a little biased because I see these guys pitch all the time.
Right. That one thumped to center, and Fowler can't get it, and it'll bounce out of play for a double. So some of the candidates in the National League, and a guy who is being overlooked is Noah Syndergaard, who will start for the Mets in the wild card game. He's got a 2.60, so he's third in ERA. And I think Syndergaard's WAR number, his FIP is 232. Strikeouts pretty good, but I'd have a hard time going against Kyle Hendricks. Travis throws, but Russell is behind.
Yeah, and you know, when you look at the advanced stats, and a lot, it depends. It's figured differently by the different sites. I'm looking at Baseball Reference. Wins above replacement for pitchers, and they go Scherzer, Cueto, Kershaw, Tanner Roark fourth, Lester sixth, Hendricks are way down at number 9 on that list.
Rizzo's going to fire to third, and they will get their man. How about that play?
That's such a good play.
So Suarez is out, 3-5.
Just great awareness by Rizzo and confidence. Some guys aren't comfortable making that throw. It's not a throw a first baseman makes a lot. Rizzo has no fear when he plays the game. It's a short lead and it's a sharply hit ball. So with that in mind, Rizzo takes a shot and gets a very big out.
So where Hendricks really benefits, the whip going into today, it's walks plus hits per innings pitched under 1. The ERA, which was under 2, but will lead everybody. And I think just back to your point about the general consistency. He didn't have a bad start, and he's trying to avoid one here. And he has not allowed more than 4 runs in any start all season.
Yeah, and that's, you just wonder if when the voters, when they contemplate this award, if they look at things like that. I'm sure some do. I'm convinced others don't, that they just kind of look at some raw numbers.
Barron on deck. John Lester will get a lot of support.
And really, when you think about it, there is that group we've talked about. There would be no outcry if any one of those guys won the award.
That will get to the wall. Barnhart to third. Billy Hatch is going to send him. Relay by Zobrist is not in time. Contreras and Barnhart really got together. Throw to third. Out there. So Barnhart got in. Contreras wasn't sure he had gotten the plate, so he went back to tag him, and there was a little bit of a collision. And while Wilson checked on him, Renda tried to make third. That was wild.
Yeah, Barnhart initially misses home plate. You see Whitson, the home plate umpire, not making a call initially, and then as they scramble back to the plate, he does make the save sign. Contreras providing comfort for Barnhart, and then I don't know if Bryant got his attention or Wilson just kind of recognized that there was another base runner to deal with. Makes a strong throw to third.
It's now 4-2.
Hendricks, who was yelling at Contreras.
Patrick Kivlahan adding for the pitcher Stevenson. And he pops it up. Zobrist makes the catch. And the inning is over. As the Reds add to their lead, it's now 4-2. Brought to you by Fifth Third Bank. Now get access to over 45,000 fee-free ATMs nationwide. Always happy to have you with us for Cubs baseball on WGN Sports, our final Cubs telecast of the season. And a new pitcher for Cincinnati is right-hander Jumbo Diaz.
The kid either has a sign or a school project due, one or the other. Jumbo Diaz working for the 45th time. We've seen him a fair bit this season. 1-1 with a 3.29 ERA. Pitch count just got the best of Stevenson, so he did not pitch the 5 innings necessary to qualify for the win. He allowed 4 hits, 2 runs, walked 5, struck out 4.
From the stretch, pitch to Anthony Rizzo is inside, ball 1. Hendricks will get one more inning at most, assuming he'll get the 5th. We'll see. One and one. Couple of things looking ahead to this week. if I may. Cubs Nightly, 6 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Dan Roan hosting. I'll have some features as well throughout the Cubs postseason run. We want you to watch the show and certainly pay attention to all things Cubs. But keep this in mind. Most analysis leading up to Friday is meaningless. We can break down all the different things in the world. And again, make sure you join us tomorrow at 6. But you're going to hear a lot of pundits. You're going to hear me say stuff. And most of it we're just saying it, right? Because
well, you're making your best guess.
You're making your best guess. And a lot of weird things can happen.
Yeah.
Ron Coomer was telling me a story recently. I think it was 0-2. Derek Jeter, after the Yankees had clinched, was just awful. And just he couldn't get a hit. He was mechanically all messed up. And as Rizzo strikes out, and everybody's worried about Derek Jeter. And then the first at bat of the playoffs hits a home run, went like 4 for 5.
Yeah.
Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Cubs and Reds, final game of the year until the Cubs hit the division series on Friday. 1-0 on Zobrist.
Yeah, and I've heard, and I've read some stuff and read occasional comments or blogs, and sometimes kind of fan generated, and it's the Cubs have to maintain this intensity during the final couple weeks of the regular season, even though they've clinched, because you just can't turn it on. I completely disagree with that, and we say it every spring training. The team's not winning in spring training, and people say, man, they got to be playing better, because you can't just turn it on when the regular season starts, or you can't just turn it on when the postseason starts. And I think absolutely you can. I mean, it's next level stuff.
Well, again, just the idea of if there were a Cub hitter, there's not. A regular everyday player who right now is like 0 for his last 18 with 10 strikeouts. Naturally, you'd be thinking, and maybe even his hitting coach would think, well, this is not the right time to be swinging the bat like this. And that guy could go 3 for 3 Friday. You just don't know as Zobrist takes a call third. And conversely, you could have a guy 5 for 5 today who could go 0 for 4 with 4 punch-outs.
Yeah. And that's why some managers believe in the hot hand theory, where a guy's swinging it well, so they'll keep him in the lineup every day, even if he's not an everyday player. I'm going to run him out there until he's no longer hot. Other managers, I think, have a little different approach, and they say the reason why he's performing is because I'm putting him in favorable situations, and I'm going to look to continue to do that. And if it means sitting him down on this particular day because I don't like the matchup, I think that's a more prudent way to handle it.
Totally agree.
It's like that whole stock thing, right? The past results are no guarantee of future performance. The same thing in baseball. Just because the guy's swinging it well doesn't mean he's going to have a big game tomorrow for you.
Also fouls on a play.
The only hitter, well, we'll talk about that later.
Make a note, please. I don't want to forget.
Only hitter.
I know it's going to be a really pithy point.
Hitter,
4-2 Reds in the 5th.
Jimbo Diaz after posting a 0 on the top of the 5th. Yeah. I'm guessing he's not going to come back out there. Hey, register for the chance to purchase 2016 postseason tickets for potential games to be played at Wrigley Field.
Just foul.
Stay down. Nice play. Very nice. Go to Cubs.com/postseason to register and learn more about this postseason ticket purchase opportunity. The Cubs will conduct random drawings from among eligible fans.
Matt Caesar for the out.
Stay with me, people. We're going to get through this together. The Cubs will conduct random drawings from among eligible fans who successfully complete the registration form. The registration period for NLCS ends at noon on Friday, October 7th.
We have wholesale changes. Almora's in center. We saw Caesar in right. And first to third. Coughlin, Kawasaki. Baez at short. LaStella at third. Same battery. That'll change after this inning most likely. There's Tommy at third. So Rizzo, Bryant, Fowler, Russell, Hayward. All done for the regular season.
Oh, so the hitter. We were talking about streaking and when to use guys or when to give players a day off. And the point I was going to make is the only hitter that I know that fully embraced the idea of getting a day off even when they're swinging it really well was Lance Berkman. Most guys are really upset when the manager takes them out of the lineup after they've had a 2-hit day or hit a home run the day before.
Did he explain why?
Yeah, he was like, I would much rather be sitting over there knowing I'm coming off a 3-hit game than sitting over there knowing I'm running an 0 for 10 and I just kind of sit there and I can't do anything about it.
That's pretty good self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus fouls. Foul tip, strike 3.
4 strikeouts now for Kyle. And the same thing with pitchers, right? I mean, I could see where Cub fans might be concerned given what Arrieta, Lester, now Kyle are doing in their final starts of the regular season. All of them pitching below the norm. Doubt that it has any meaning whatsoever going into their next start. Certainly Hendricks and Lester. Jake, it's been kind of a bumpy ride for a while now in terms of his command.
Right, and I think even if a struggling or a guy who has a bad start, his final start and then has another bad one to start the postseason, it doesn't necessarily link the two together, right? You could struggle for different reasons.
Yeah, and I guess and with Jake, I don't think anybody would be really surprised if he went out there and pitched 7 shutout innings and punched out 9.
The 2-2. Now full. In the left center.
if this season were a month longer, Joey Votto would end up winning the batting title. But it's not, so he won't. It will be DJ LeMahieu, who was just a point or two better than Daniel Murphy, and Walt Weiss has said he's not going to play LeMahieu. I haven't seen their lineup today.
Bounced foul.
Aaron Sanchez has a no-hitter going through 5 in Boston. Blue Jays lead 1-0 there.
Broken bat roller. Baez, the shortstop, picks it up and throws him out. Probably it for Kyle Hendricks, the Major League ERA leader in 2016. 4-2 Reds. Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night, December. Cubs baseball is. Wait a minute.
Your wife nudges you. Who's this Jeff Vukovich you keep talking about?
Two-oh. 3 balls, no strikes. Mike Montgomery.
I asked Joe today, I said, well, who do you want to see in the game behind Hendricks? Who do you need to see? And he said, well, probably Montgomery. Other than that, and he won't use Chapman, Rondon, or Strop. They're all down. Buchanan, who made the start the other day, and Zastryzny, they're both not available today. Everybody else is in play.
Diaz has a sign from Barnhart. Shallow right. Tracking and catching is Renda.
Don't miss your chance to experience spring training at beautiful Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona. Reserve your place in line by joining the spring training season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy and free to register. For details, visit sloanpark.com.
Joe wanted to see Soler get at least 3 plate appearances. This is his 3rd. He flied to left. 1 pitch in the 2nd. Walked in the 4th. Nothing he has done today makes him look uncomfortable. That's a good sign. Takes a breaking ball. Off the corner, 2-1.
So assuming it's Mets Giants on Wednesday, put on your prognosticator's hat. Who do you think will win? And 2, who would you want to see the Cubs play?
Well, I guess okay. The first part I have no idea. It'd be Syndergaard, Bumgarner, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great matchup. I can't in good conscience make a prediction on
right.
one game. I just can't do it. Part of me thinks it doesn't matter who the Cubs play, but if you're asking my opinion, I guess I'd rather play the Mets.
As a fan, or as a who do you think the Cubs have the best chance of beating?
I think the Cubs match up better with the Mets than the Giants due to the Mets injuries.
But it's just in terms of what it would be an interesting series. The Giants, right? Because they appear to be a tougher opponent.
Right.
Yeah, as a Cub fan wanting to make sure they get to the next level, the Mets seem more beatable.
Now that storyline from the last 2 years, though, works. The Cubs went 7-0 against the Mets. Last year in the regular season, got swept in the NLCS and then got swept in New York. Their first series this season. That was a 4-gamer, so that was 8 in a row before the Cubs won 2 of 3 at Wrigley.
And I wonder if and we'll probably get some feedback on Twitter with this, a Cub fan, what they would prefer to see. I would imagine they would like to exact some revenge on the Mets for last year.
Yeah, I think so. That would be my guess.
It's fun to try to play pop psychologist with the mindset of the fans.
But I do mean what I said, that and I think you would agree. It does matter who they play, but in some ways it doesn't, because if this Cubs team just plays the way it has all year, I don't know who beats them. And having said that, if a team plays a series like the Mets did against the Cubs last year in the NLCS, it's going to be tough for the Cubs to beat them too, because they played a perfect series.
I mean, who do they run out there in game 1 of the series for the Mets? Syndergaard pitches Wednesday. Is it Bartolo?
Probably Cologne. Soler bounces toward the middle. Peraza will throw him out.
So you'd end up with Cologne, maybe Gesellman, and then back to Syndergaard. First 3 games of a division series against the Mets.
So you could have a Syndergaard Arrieta possibly, if that's how Joe goes. 1, 2, 3.
And then
as we discussed earlier.
In the Giants, you would get Cueto, Samardzija, Bumgarner, right?
Most likely, yes.
So just with the pitching matchups in mind, the Mets much more favorable matchup. Or maybe it's Lugo, but whoever, along with Cologne, before they get to Syndergaard, you're going to have a decided advantage, theoretically, in the pitching matchup.
Robert Gesellman has made 7 starts and 8 appearances. He's got a 242. Seth Lugo, 8 starts, 17 appearances, at 267. So very small sample size, but both have been good.
Yeah, and it's been a great story the way those kids have stepped in over there. They're not high-profile prospects either. But with all the injuries that the Mets pitching staff has had to deal with, those kids have stepped in and just a miraculous job for Terry Collins. But as good as they have been, I would still rather face them than Cueto, Samardzija, Bumgarner.
And I think the difference between this year and last year, last year the 2 wild card teams were 98 and 97 win teams. So there wasn't a big separation between the Pirates and Cubs and then the division winners. It feels a little different this year. On paper, at least.
Yes.
Between the Cubs, Nationals, Dodgers, and then the wild card group. 3-2 on Contreras. Here's the pitch. Ball 4. A little stare down. And Tim Fedorovich will bat for Hendricks.
There's a good article in the Washington Post this morning. Robert Fromer, I believe, wrote it. Fromer. And the theme of the article is that the Washington baseball fan is actually more deserving of a winner than the Chicago baseball fan.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good story. It's a good article. He talks about how yes, the Cubs haven't won a World Series since 1908, and the Nationals have won, or not the Nationals, but the city of Washington has won one. I think in the mid-20s. But the Cubs at least played in a World Series in '45. The Washington has not seen a World Series since 1933. And it goes on to lament the fact that they lost 2 teams, and for years they were the dregs of the American League back in the day. The old Washington Senators. First in war, first in peace, last in the American League was the slogan.
Fedorovich takes a strike. Yeah, the only thing I would say is I think most Cub fans, it's about winning the World Series. It's not just about winning the pennant, which, as you say, hasn't been done since 1945, and that would definitely be an accomplishment. But it feels like winning the World Series is a much larger goal than just getting there.
Sure. And that's what I said to my friend who texted me the link to that story. I said, the Washington fan is not going to whoa the Cub fan on this one.
1-1 outside. Going to be a fun ride. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about baseball in the postseason, right? Is you go from a game that's pastoral in nature. It's every day. It's slow and steady wins the race. You talk, the old cliches about it's a marathon, not a sprint. Then you get into the postseason, and it's nothing but a sprint. Every pitch takes on added significance, and every play or misplay umpiring decision. I mean, everything is just ratcheted up tenfold.
Federovich strikes out. Diaz with 2 scoreless innings. Still 4-2 Reds.
Broadcasters way back in Brooklyn, the veteran Red Barber, kind of the father, the older brother Connie Desmond, and the kid. And another scene very early, probably back in 1950, with Red Barber. And the distinguished and great Mel Allen and Al Helfer joining a team group.
Some great photos and play-by-play by the great Vin Scully. 4-2 Reds lead as they bat here in the 6th. Mike Montgomery is in the pitch. Tim Federovich catching. Contreras goes to left.
You know what would have been cool? It's too late now. All my ideas are too late. If every broadcaster, every Major League Baseball game today, television and radio, started the game.
It's time.
Or it's time for, and a good, what's he saying? A fine good afternoon, everybody.
Right.
And
wherever you may be.
Wherever you may be. Pull up a chair. We've got a ball game. So,
yeah, thanks for telling me now.
Yeah.
2 strikes to Schebler.
And then somebody could have put it together on a reel. Every broadcaster paying homage to Vin that way.
Coughlin right at the bag.
So, unforgettable games, undeniable greatness, and unstoppable drama. The 2016 postseason begins October 4th. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule.
And we'll ride off into the sunset. And we talked to him when we were in Los Angeles, and he joked, when you're 65 and you retire, you've got a lot of things you'd like to do outside of work. He said, I just want to live. When you're 88,
yeah,
changes the math a little bit, but he looked to be in great shape when we saw him. And we wish him nothing but the best. And I think there was a line today in their broadcast who said he could absolutely now root for the Giants when they go to New York to play the Mets. Because the Giants, that was his first team when he was a kid. He took note. I think it was 80 years ago today. Two and one.
Yeah, what was the story? He was walking by a storefront and there was a radio. Had the radio call the game on or something. You know,
the Giants had lost, correct?
I don't remember all the details, but I think he was like an 8-year-old kid or whatever. Something captivated him about that broadcast.
I loved, I mean, of all the great notes that he worked 34 years following receiving the Ford Frick Award. That's an award most broadcasters get at the end of their career or well after it's over. Almora, and he's got it. I hope he's all right. That was a very awkward landing, but he held on.
Yeah, that was scary as he lost his balance just shy of the wall. And the good news is, not only did he make a spectacular catch, but he gets up in one piece. Well, he's got a little slight spin. He has to make a late adjustment, turn around, and he's out of control there, boy. And if he's a step or two closer to that wall, that could have been very ugly.
Head really snapped back as well. Hopefully everything's still attached. Ooh. That stung. Barnhart, ball one.
For a guy who has not played all that much at the big league level this year, Morris put together a very nice highlight reel.
Certainly in the mix for a spot on the division series roster. Cubs will have to make those decisions the next few days.
Likewise, Montgomery still values the power left arm. The fact that he can give him multiple innings.
Well, remember, we thought he was going to be the big bullpen acquisition. He was acquired from Seattle. Little did we know the Cubs would go out and get Aroldis Chapman as well. Two-out base runner. Here's Rendon.
Yeah, and you know, and you try to cover all your bases when you put a roster together for a short series, and you could see a scenario where Montgomery would really have value. Say one of the right-handed starters went out and laid an egg early, and you had a lineup that was loaded with left-handed bats. And Montgomery could come in and give you 2-3 innings, keep you in a ball game.
Well, I'll tell you the one guy on this roster who I think needs the rest the most these next 4 days. 0-2. Aroldis Chapman, because that's the one thing about the postseason with off days built in. You can use your closer a lot more often. And it's very rare to hear that a closer is unavailable, assuming they're healthy once you get into the playoffs. And the main reason he was brought here was to pitch in October.
Yeah, and I suspect the way he's used may change a little bit too. Remember early on, Joe used him, tried to get 4 or 5 outs out of him, and he complained a little bit the next day in the paper. So Joe kind of backed off, and he's used him just for an inning at a time. But I would think the right circumstance came up in the postseason. He might use Chapman for 4 or 5 outs. Or maybe even just, you know, to pitch the 8th, depending on who's coming up, and giving Rondon the ball in the 9th.
Montgomery off the mound, little bobble. Out at first. Brian Price We'll want a second just to make sure. You know, he's not going to forget after what happened in St. Louis the other night. Immediately up on that top step, and he is convinced that the call is right. So that will end the 6th, and we go to the 7th. It's 4-2 Reds. Bud Fan Cam of 2016. Tears for Fears. Everyone wants to rule the world. It's today's Bud Fan Cam. Everybody wants to rule the world. Wandy Peralta, left-hander, here in the 7th. Estella cuts and misses.
This is Wandy's 10th appearance this year, his 10th major league appearance. It'll stumble on that one. Peralta, 25 years of age. He's been in the Reds organization since 2010.
Estella is out.
Jumbo Diaz today, 2 innings, hitless, a walk and 3 strikeouts.
All 1. Ground ball into right.
Watch the drive to the pennant with MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on more than 400 supported devices. Or that's audible. Ooh, Omaha, Omaha, Omaha.
You can have Joe Madden's car.
Yes.
There are all the notes on the screen. That will continue throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, fan
raffle.
services or the address there at Clark Street that we showed you. Win Joe's car.
Hook out. Chris Coughlin backed off the plate.
Hey, congratulations to the Bears. They won today.
They did.
It's your Lions.
They held Detroit to, I want to say 6 points. 2 field goals. Bears get on the board. 1-3.
Congratulations to the United States Ryder Cup team. Defeated Europe just moments ago. Cup was in our booth on the last homestand.
Here's a pitch. Ball 4.
Control has held Peralta back in his career. Some high walk numbers throughout his minor league days, and walks have been an issue here for him as a big leaguer.
Oh, 17-14 was the final. That's right. Detroit scored a late touchdown on a return. Bears held on by 3.
New pitcher coming.
So that'll be it for Peralta. Cubs have 2 on with 1 out. Trailing 4-2 in the 7th. Schedule brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store, thelocalfordstores.com. Cubs will host games 1 and 2 of the division series, and then have an off day Sunday. A week from Monday, October the 10th, will be game 3. Time now for the AT&T call to the pen. It's brought to you by AT&T.
The veteran mustachioed right-hander Ross Ullendorf will pitch next for Cincinnati. He's done it 63 times already this year. He's posted a 5-7 record, a 4.71 ERA. Kind of looks like Rick Rhoden out there with that stash. Picked up a couple of saves along the way. League bats .239 against him. Old-fashioned windup, over the top delivery, fastball slider change. See that old-fashioned windup as he works in the stretch here with a couple men on base. But believe me, he does it.
Albert Almora Jr. with a great catch in center. Aaron Sanchez had a no-hitter into the 7th. Blue Jays leading the Red Sox 1-0. Hanley Ramirez just hit a home run to tie the game and break up the no-hitter. I guess they are reviewing fair or foul. So 4-4 in St. Louis. And the Giants continue to lead big in their game in the 7th as well, 5-1.
Cardinals have had a couple of late comeback wins. Keep their hopes alive, but it's out of their hands now. If the Giants win, the Cardinals are out regardless if they win their game or not.
It's a homer. It's 1-1 in Boston.
Meanwhile, top of the 9th in New York, the Orioles lead the Yankees 5-2. Matt Wieters has hit a pair of home runs in that game.
Almora pulls it into left. Duvall with a sliding catch. And the runners have to retreat.
Duvall's made a couple nice plays out there this afternoon. And very early in the ball game. This time, a little sinking line drive. Closes on it. Takes away a hit from Almora. So Toronto, Baltimore, if they both win, Detroit's out.
They are in, yeah. Orioles and Jays each with 88 wins.
So here's the scenario I'm contemplating. That happens, but home field still has to be decided between Cleveland and Boston, so they have to go back to Detroit to play that game tomorrow.
I thought I read that they did.
Oh, how bad would that stink for Detroit to go back and have to play a game which now becomes meaningless for them. Yeah.
Three 3-0 on Kawasaki. Caesar is on deck. Base is loaded.
Eighth walk issued by Reds pitching this afternoon.
John Jaso, who earlier this week hit for the cycle against the Cubs, tied that game in St. Louis, homering for the Pirates' 2-run shot to make it 4-4. Alexis run predictor update. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Cubs at a 29% chance to get a run here, according to their season to date. Trailing by 2, but they have 3 aboard. 1-2 on Matt Caesar.
Gap at the right center would play well. Don't swing at that. It's down 2. A double likely gives them the lead.
Chased a bad one. Barnhart steps on the plate, inning over. We will sing God Bless America coming up before the 7th inning stretch. Let's go to Joe Zerhusen, the Reds PA announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please stand. Kindly remove your hats and face the American flag. Major League Baseball, the Reds and the Cubs salute the men and women of our armed forces, as well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, and welcome actor Adam Hill as he leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
A Honda game summary as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Kyle Hendricks, final start of the year, 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs allowed. His ERA will finish at 2.13. The big hit at Tucker Barnhart, 2-run single back in the 3-run first for Cincinnati as they lead 4-2. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer.
Right-hander Joe Smith, bottom of the 7th. Facing Ramon Cabrera, switch hitting catcher in a pinch hitting spot.
It's a rarity. They have 2 catchers. They're both switch hitters.
Look out. Goes flying into the camera well.
Not been a good way to start your off season. One scoreless inning for Mike Montgomery. He had a walk, no strikeouts, no hits allowed.
That was a strikeout.
Joe pitching for the 16th time in a Cub uniform, 13 1/3 innings. He has a 2.70 ERA with the Cubs. Broke into the big leagues in 2007 with the Mets.
Raza bounces foul. Happy 64th birthday, Christine Reed. And I will apologize to all the fans out there who have winter birthdays. They get the short end of the straw in terms of our broadcasts, but Pat and Edzo and Neil and Stacy hopefully will send out birthday wishes on the winter sport telecasts. How about this? If you've got a November, December, January, February birthday, happy birthday from all of us. Outside.
Yeah, we're talking to you.
That includes me. I have a January birthday.
January, yeah. So I got plenty of shopping days left.
Never get to wish myself a birthday wish during the season. Caesar's in and he makes the grab. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. What a year it's been for the Chicago Cubs. 102-58 plus a tie. Ball 1. Ball 2. 2-0.
Yeah, they asserted themselves early on, really took control of the division, never really looked back. Mid-season, the Pirates got to within 6.5. That was about it.
Save for the first Friday of the season. They were in first every day, so they almost went wire to wire.
John Lester in his post-game comments yesterday, very pointed, saying, look, I don't want to be a,
you know what,
whatever here, but we haven't done anything yet. We don't win the World Series. We have not accomplished what we set out to do.
Well, it's 2 parts. You know, I understand the emotional part of it. When you get into October, the goal is to win it. I just know that the guys in the clubhouse, the manager, talking to Joe today, they're proud of what they have accomplished to this point. Now you want to build on that. Go win the whole thing. 4-2 after 7.
wants to be invited. Visit Cubs.com/kids for more information on how to schedule Clark.
Travis Wood will pinch hit against Blake Wood. Couldn't either, Joe. Didn't want to miss a Wood matchup, is it?
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck?
You might be out of position players in terms of pinch hitting for a pitcher, so it makes sense to go with Travis. Let's see. David Ross and Miguel Montero, the only position players available.
He didn't bargain for 97 up around his chin. He's having some fun. The second day in a row they've done the wave here.
They didn't do it Friday?
I don't know. I just noticed the last two. It's a little disconcerting.
2-1. Shatters his bat as he fouls away.
Wood shattered his wood. Yeah, that'd be a great wiffle ball bat right there. So anyway, as waves go, now it's starting to peter out now. I had it going on there for a while.
Wood, fans Wood.
If you're looking for a trivia question that you can stump all your friends with, ask them the following. Who's the only man in the 20th century to get hits in all 3 games of a triple header? The answer would be Clyde Barnhart. Hey, maybe he's related to Tucker Barnhart. 1920, the Pirates and the Reds played a triple header on this date in 1920.
Wow.
Wow. Third game lasted only 6 innings. It was called due to darkness. Right at the end of the year, and it was a battle for third place. How long do you think it took to play a triple header in 1920?
I'm going to go 7.5 hours.
5.
In the air to deep center. Back toward the wall, and it is gone. Wilson Contreras makes it a 1-run game, 4-3 now. Number 12.
Yeah, he's been on a nice little roll here lately. He hasn't been getting a ton of at-bats, but he's been productive, swinging it well, and a strong young man. He has good power to the big part of the ballpark. Seems to me he's hit a handful of his home runs to center field.
It was a loud blast.
So that is the 41st home run the Cubs have hit against the Reds this year. How far did it fly? Southwest Airlines, 424 feet. for the Contreras home run.
According to Baseball Reference, that is the 4th home run hit to center. And it is 12. So 2 to right, 2 to left center, 4 to straightaway left.
Yeah, and that's, you know, there are a lot of guys who have to pull the ball to hit for power. The really strong guys can go big part of the yard like that.
Reds could not win the season without allowing another home run here in the finale. 257 allowed. It's a major league single season record. Federovic strikes out looking. He brings up La Stella.
The 12th consecutive game in this ballpark in which the Cubs have hit a home run. They had a streak from September 30th of last year through the 19th of September this year. 16 consecutive games hitting a home run against Reds pitching.
Couldn't hold up 0-2. If you're noting that the fans seem really excited about all these strike calls, it's because the next Reds pitcher to strike out a Cub means free pizza.
Yeah. Okay. What's the number? Is it 11?
11. I'm not sure everybody here will get a free slice of pizza, but it's the idea that you can. That's exciting, right?
Yeah, they've also walked 8 in this game, so that'd be a cool little game where walks worked against the strikeouts, and then the fans would just rain down on their pitchers when they walked guys. It'd be good incentive.
Ground ball back to the pitcher. As the crowd boos. Wood could not strike him out. Contreras took him out. 4-3. great 8 stat of the game. Cubs teammates with sub 250 earned run averages since 1920. It's not a very long list. Prim and Paso back in 45 and Hendricks and Lester here in 2016. Grade 8 stat of the game brought to you by Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Former Reds teammates matching up here. Travis Wood actually batted before he pitched today. And the 0-1 to Votto is in for a strike. There's a quote from Joey Votto making the rounds about how Mike Trout kind of ruined it for everybody. He said basically that early in his career he thought he could be in that conversation every year for best player in the game. Mike Trout came along and kind of negated the entire convo.
Now he's going to have to be willing to live with best hitter in the game, perhaps.
Well, they both own 1 MVP award. Trout will win number 2 this year, I would guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think, but there's a lot of guys that want to vote for a guy on a winning team.
Slowed down by Wood. It'll be barehanded by Baez, and he gets Votto. 1-6-3.
The quick reactions by Wood, and then Baez does the rest. I'll slow him down. You finish him off. Pretty play.
Adam Duvall looks at a strike. The Tigers are eliminated. They just lost in Atlanta. So the Jays and Orioles are in. Orioles a 5-2 winner at New York, and the Jays lead 2-1 in the bottom of the 8th in Boston. So Detroit lost 1-0 today to the Braves.
And they still may have to play that game against Cleveland tomorrow.
Cardinals pulling away from the Pirates. It might not matter. And invariably, when you miss the playoffs by 1 game, and that what-if game, you go back over the course of 6 months ago, if we could have won this one, we blew this game in the 9th. And you tend to make it more recently, but it could have been a game in early April.
Yeah, and that's the nature of baseball, and it's also the part of the human condition, right? You're going to go back through and try to identify all those games that got away, but you have to realize, of course, that there are a number of games you won along the way that the other team let get away.
And I also think as Duvall fouls, after 162, you generally are what you are. Right, you maybe stole a couple you shouldn't have, as you said. You lose a couple you should have won in the end. If you're 86 and 76, that's probably what you deserved. Here's another narrative that I think will start to see a little more, and that is the Texas Rangers somehow being better off than other teams because of all their one-run victories.
That they're
better positioned
to win in the postseason.
Right, because of all the tight games.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
I don't either, but I think you're going to read it somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't know that this would play out either, but the more appropriate prediction might be the Rangers are due to lose some close games, and it might happen to them in the postseason.
So the Rangers in one-run games this year are 36-11. Games decided by 5 or more runs, they're 18-24. So they have outscored their opponents by just 10 runs, even though they're 29 games over 500. So their Pythagorean record, which is what their record should be based on run differential, 81-80. How about that? Swing and a miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, and the thing about that is, I think most people, when trying to explain a run like that in the one-run games, are going to say, well, they must have a great bullpen. The Rangers' bullpen has not been very good this year.
As long as the Rangers are alive, they will have home field advantage in any series they play. Pulled in the air to right. Caesar makes the catch, 2 outs. Joe will make a change. Travis Wood is out. Justin Grimm coming in when we come back. Player of the game, we're going to give it to Kyle Hendricks, even though he possibly could take the loss today. Look at what he did this season, a 2.13 earned run average. And wrap your hands around the official Italian beef of the Chicago Cubs at one of the 19 Bona locations.
First Cub to lead the majors in ERA since Bill Lee in 1938. Kyle's 2.13, 2 1/4 runs better than league average for a National League starter. The average is 4.28. He posts a 2.13.
Justin Grimm trying to get the final out of the 8th. Caesar in right. And we'll go to the 9th. Cubs trail by 1. Replay brought to you by Xfinity. What an acrobatic play by Albert Elmore Jr. Kind of got twisted around, fell awkwardly on the warning track, but he hauled it in. Speed replay brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. The pitcher for the Reds. The save spot is Raisel Iglesias. And it is over. The Giants have clinched the second wild card spot and will head to New York Wednesday night. And Godspeed, Vin Scully. And a strike on the outside.
So Max Scherzer pitched for the Nationals today. He too sitting on 19 wins, looking to become the only 20-game winner in the National League this year. He went 5 innings, allowed 5 runs. But the Nationals scored 3 in the bottom of the 5th to take an 8-5 lead. They now lead 8-7, so I believe he's in position to get that win if they hang on.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3. They'll get their free pizza here in Cincinnati.
It's all about the pizza.
Coughlin with one out. This is a one-swing ball game. Reds have led since they scored 3 in the first. Cubs got it for 3-2 and now 4-3. The Cardinals missing the playoffs for the first time since 2010. And first time under manager Mike Matheny. Sharply hit grounder backhanded by DeJesus, and he throws to Votto in time. Well, 1-0 to Almora. 2 balls, no strikes.
Go ahead, Albert, turn it loose. And challenge.
As much fun as this season has been, there's a lot more to come for the Cubs. 3-1. No winner go home wild card scenario this time. They blew right past it by clinching the division with a couple of weeks left. Almora walks. Best record in all of baseball. Only team to win over 100 games. Vin Scully just signed off, quote, "I have said enough for a lifetime, and for the last time I wish you all a very pleasant good afternoon." Kawasaki takes a strike. Line shot center field. Tyler Holt just into the game, has to play it on a bounce. And a tying run is now in scoring position. And it's up to Matt Caesar.
The 7th hit of the day for the Cubs. They've also drawn 9 walks. Was up there with the bases loaded in the 7th.
0-1.
Chased a bad ball for strike 3 in that plate appearance. Hasn't had a lot of luck lately. Can understand him being a little anxious in that situation, and likewise here. That's the challenge. Fall in right there.
Aaron Sanchez wins the ERA title in the American League. One is outside. Sanchez finished right at 3. 7 innings today. Gave up a Ramirez home run. Montero would hit next. Kyle Hendricks will win the Major League ERA title. Two.
Looking at the online box score here, Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant both batting .292, identical .385 on base percentages. Bryant with a .554 slug, Anthony .544. Rizzo, pretty remarkable.
Yeah, what a year. That all-star tandem. Runners will go on the 3-2. That is a fair ball. Here comes Almora. Kawasaki's going to be sent. Throw to the plate, will not get there. Cubs tie, Cubs lead. Matt Caesar with a 2-out double. It's 5-4.
Why not? Why not on the last day of the regular season have just a little more fun? 2-out, 2-run double in the top of the ninth. Step back, poke it down the right field line. Not the prettiest of swings, but certainly was effective.
You can hear the Cub fans making a lot of noise here in Cincinnati. Who's closing today? We'll find out. Ball 1 to Montero, the pinch hitter.
Somebody's up down there.
Weston Grimm can get a win. Carl Edwards Jr. All that started with what seemed to be a pretty innocent 2-out walk to Almora. Kawasaki then singled, and Caesar knocked them both in.
Well, walks have been the story of the day for the Reds pitching staff. They've issued 9 of them. It's about time that one really bit them. 3 of the walks have scored. And got away. Stevenson got away with a lot early on in his outing. The starter went 4 innings, allowed 5 walks, 4 hits, but only 2 runs.
In the air to right. Way back toward the wall. Gone. Montero off the bench, and the Cubs lead 7-4. They won 103.
Yeah, but it's almost like they're bullying the Reds when you think about it. The Reds had a chance to win this game and end their season with a W, but the Cubs like, no, not going to happen, fellas. Now without a little pushback anyway, you're going to have to do something dramatic in the bottom of the inning.
Caesar and Montero combined to drive in 4 runs here in the 9th. Contreras, he homered in the 8th to get the Cubs within 1 and takes a strike. Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? 383 feet. Swing and a miss. Cubs done in the ninth, but a lot of 2-out damage. We're down to their final out, their final strike, in fact. And then they scored 4 times. The lead. 2-run double. Del Montero hit the Cubs' first homer of the regular season, and it looks like he will have hit the last. And now it's Carl Edwards Jr. in a save situation.
Picked up 1 save. He has pitched to a 3.86 ERA.
Strike called on Tucker Barnhart. One more farewell. We want to wish Dick Enberg the best in retirement. He just called his final big league game for the San Diego Padres. And the C. Frick Award winner. Two high.
Justin Graham with a chance to pick up a 1-pitch win this afternoon.
I love those. To 3-2. Got
a challenge here. Got a 3-run lead.
Called strike 3. One away here in the Reds' ninth.
Threw a dart to the outside corner at the bottom of the knees. One's been pretty tight most of the day. Good looking pitch.
Brenda backs away. Hernan Iribarren is on deck.
Bullpen so far this afternoon, 3 1/3 of hitless, scoreless baseball. Joe Smith was really sharp in his 1 inning of work. Struck out a pair.
Caesar will cut it off. 2 outs. Cubs took out most of their starters, and it was the bench guys who put up 5 runs here in these last 2 innings. Iribarren back to the curve. Strike 1. Ground ball off the leg or foot of Edwards. It'll deflect to La Stella. Cubs win. Cubs win. They come back down in the 9th. Hopefully CJ's all right. The last thing you want to see is an injury here on the final play of the regular season. The Cubs finish 2016 with 103 wins, 58 losses, and a tie. That was hit hard.
Yeah, nice comeback win here this afternoon. Good to see CJ get up, move around well. Looks like he's okay. Yeah, a scary moment, but the 3rd out recorded after the deflection handled by La Stella. And let the big boy games begin. Doesn't hurt quite as much when the out is recorded.
So he'll get a save. And Cub fans hanging around Great American Ballpark to salute their heroes. And you're right, let the fun begin. Feels like these 6 months have been the pre-party.